Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Peace. Today's video is all about how to pick your business structure. I know that this is something that I think a lot of people can get tripped up on. There are other business structures beyond these three, but these are the three most common ones in the UK. The first business structure I'm going to speak about is being a sole trader. This is essentially when you're self-employed and you're running your business as an individual. So there is no legal distinction between you and your business. You are one entity. Like having a business account won't be necessary, having separate email address and separate kind of filing systems won't be necessary because you and your business are one. You are your business. And so there are obviously loads of pros and cons that can come with this. So there are pros with this, such as this is a really good option for freelancers. It's a lot easier to set up than some of the other business structures. There's less admin because you don't have to go through that whole process of signing up with Companies House and liaising with them. There are no annual accounts, there's no corporation tax. So the admin involved when it comes to being a sole trader is literally registering yourself as self-employed with HMRC, and you do have to submit a self-assessment form as to kind of pay the relevant income tax, but there's none of that whole corporation tax and filing company accounts that you would have to do if you were a limited company. There's also lower cost involved with this because when you do register as a limited company on Companies House, you have to pay a registration fee, which isn't awful, but it's still a fee, and you tend to have to use an accountant because it can get, let me tell you, it can get really complicated. And yeah, accountants cost money at the end of the day. So having that kind of ease with the less admin involved and the less taxes and accounts that needed to be filed, you can save costs, you can save time. And it's a lot more accessible to newbie business owners who just don't want all that higgy hugger. So the cons, of course, there are always cons. It can be less tax efficient, but this is something, and this is why it's so important for you to do your own research as to what makes sense for you, what makes sense for your income levels, what makes sense for who you're hiring or who's going to be involved in your business. You need to just assess your whole situation and speak to a tax professional to work out what is going to be your most tax efficient business structure. Another con is the whole fact that you and your business are one. It means if anything was to go wrong, then you personally are liable. So technically, if you are in debt, for example, they can come for your personal assets, they can come from your car, your house, because you as an individual you are the business. So if the business owes money, you owe money. So the second business structure that I'm going to speak about that tends to be the most common and most people's go-to is registering yourself as a private limited company. So pretty much all the pros and cons I just explained of being a sole trader, you're going to have the exact reverse for this being a private company because you and your business are separate, which pros means that there's separate liability. Technically, if the business owes money, you personally, they can't come for your assets because you guys are not the same. You and your business are not one, so there is some degree of protection there, which is great. Also, it is a more tax efficient option. I am not a tax professional. I'm not a tax professional, I'm not a tax amateur, I'm not a tax anything, okay? Like, when I can't even emphasize that enough, but I do know that a private limited company is a more tax efficient option than being a sole trader. So what you do find a lot of business owners do is they'll pay themselves through a salary and through dividends. And with dividends, you do have to pay less national insurance contributions and you also pay a lower income tax rate. So if you as an individual wanted to have a higher take-home pay, then this can be a more tax efficient option than being a sole trader. There is a bit more of a status and you do kind of come across more professional when you're registered as a private limited company. There are some things that you'll sign up for that you'll find that sometimes they actually ask you to be a limited company before you work with them. So for example, me that has an online store, when I've signed up for certain payment processes that do like buy now, pay later, they will require you to be a private limited company. When I've opened business accounts for my courier, for example, they do sometimes request for you to be a limited company. It can be easier to get funding when you're a limited company. There's just a bit of a status that comes with it, and it can be easier to get access to certain kind of business benefits or business accounts or business services. So you kind of have to pay that in mind. Now the cons of this is there is a lot more responsibility that comes when you are a director of a private limited company. Some people say it's complicated to set up. I won't even call that a con because I really don't think it was that difficult to set up. I can do a separate video on that, but I genuinely think it was pretty easy. That's why when I see there are some companies that you can pay them to help you set up your company, like formation companies, and I'm just like, when I see it, I'm just like, it's not rocket science in the slightest. But I guess some people don't have time or they just don't like to mess about with certain things that are really important. But I just genuinely don't think it's that hard to set up. So I wouldn't even call that a con. But what I will say can be a con, and you have to be very, very mindful of this because I think it's very easy to kind of miss this because a lot of people are just like, yeah, register as a company. It comes with a level of responsibility. Like you have to keep your accounts up to date. You have to keep your expenses up to date because when you file your accounts at the end of the tax year, if anything's wrong, you can technically be audited and you can be fined. And we obviously do not want that. I do not know how people file their own taxes. Well, I guess it depends on your business model, but I personally could not do what I'm doing and do my own taxes. And you have to keep that in mind, that you probably might need to consider getting an accountant. You're going to need to at least have a very, very robust system for keeping on top of your accounts. Don't take registering a business lightly, I would say, because you are literally going to be liable for certain questions the HMRC are going to have, and if you don't have those answers, if you don't know what you're doing, then it's just going to become a headache. So just really be responsible when you are signing up to be a private limited company, and be aware of the responsibilities that it comes with. I probably haven't even spoken about all the details of what it does come with, because like I said, I'm not a professional, but just be mindful, do your research, and know what you're getting yourself into. And then I guess another con is that there is less privacy when it comes to being a limited company. You have to publish certain details about your business. You have to publish details about the director. So yeah, like if, for example, your business is home run, you might have to put your home address up there. However, there are companies that kind of let you borrow their addresses, so you don't have to have your private details up on the internet. I'll put a link in the description of the one I use. So there are ways around the whole privacy thing and not wanting to put your home address out there if you are a home-based business. So the third one is being a partnership. So with a partnership, it's very similar to being a sole trader, just that it's for 2 or more people. The partnership, you, the individuals, the partners, and the business are, again, one, like you're personally responsible for the business's losses, debts, profits. The pros of this, in terms of the structure I was talking about before, again, it's simpler. There's no need to register with Companies House, less admin involved, none of those company accounts. But there are also the benefits of actually having a partner. So I guess you get to share capital, you get to share the burden, you get to share the wins, have more access to skills across the 2 of you. Like, you guys are going to have different things you're good at, different contacts, different expertise, experience. So I think there are benefits just in terms of being a collaborative, and there are benefits in terms of the actual business structure. But side note, I feel like a lot of people really underestimate the power of collaboration. I know that if I was to do another business, I will really look out my network first. I guess it is a side note from what we're talking about, but never underestimate the power of collaboration. If you have a business idea, I would really suggest, being in a solo position now, suggest that you look in your network and see if you think there's someone that you can partner up with, and your momentum, your growth will probably be double the speed, depending on some factors. But yeah, it's just something to consider. And I guess on that note, there are obviously cons of this, being that there could be disagreements, there could be slow decision making, you guys might not align on certain things, there might be like tension, kind of just like the pros and cons of any relationship. But I feel like when you find a good one, it can really, really be a powerful thing. The other cons are just that the taxation, you do have to pay tax at the same rate as a sole trader, paying the higher level of income tax. So it's not as tax efficient as being a limited company. And also there's the con of, in the traditional partnership, like the traditional partnership business structure, you will be liable for the company's losses, because like I said, it's very similar to being a sole trader. However, there is now a limited liability partnership, which does kind of treat you / your partners as a separate entity from the business, and you're no longer personally liable for the business's debts. On the whole liability topic, you obviously, in a partnership, if you are liable for the business, you have to really, really trust your partner, because if they were to just like rack up a load of debt behind your back, both of you are responsible. So you have to keep that in mind. Like I said, with the whole partnership thing, when it comes to pros and cons, you have to think of it pros and cons in terms of taxes and liabilities, and pros and cons in terms of what it actually means to be collaborating with someone and setting up an actual business where technically your assets can be at risk. So when it comes to deciding which business structure you want to go for, you can use all of these tips, kind of weigh up what liability level are you most comfortable with, which tax system are you most comfortable with, and it makes more sense for your lifestyle or what you want. What are your time commitments? What are your capital commitments? None of the different levels of revenue, different business structures make more sense. So which is why I think it's really important you can watch videos like this, read articles, read blogs, but it is really important to just speak to a professional, speak to an accountant, speak to someone who understands taxes, and just make a really informed decision, because it's not a decision to be made lightly, and it can save you a lot of headache if you pick the right structure from the beginning, rather than going for something then realize, okay, this doesn't make sense, let me convert my business into this. That's going to be a whole mess. So I really, really hope this was useful. Thank you so much for watching. As I said before, please do leave in the comment box anything that you would like me to speak about. I find it really useful when I get actual video suggestions. And do not forget to subscribe and like the video and share it. Yeah, just keep tuned with the channel. I will be posting regularly. I do post every week. So I will see you again next Sunday. Bye.